Time's up, Admiral.
Here it comes.
Hail and howdy, everybody. Welcome back to the monthly special, Anime Odyssey, where we just talk anime. F everything else. I don't care what's else going on. We're talking anime. Anything else could happen, doesn't matter. It's what we're talking here tonight because we deserve it. Hi, Jeremy. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing wonderful. Listen, I've been doing really good. It's weird to say this. I wish more YouTubers would come out as pedos because I've been doing really good with that stuff.
You're getting too far into the drama, dude.
Yeah, I'm getting way too far.
But you're getting, but you know what? It's getting you traction, so why not? Why not?
It's getting me traction. I don't normally dabble in this stuff. The reason why I'm dabbling in this one is it's the biggest YouTuber content to be made there. There's some other stuff. I don't know if I'm gonna. It seems like it's kind of dying down. I might make one more video on some stuff on my overall thoughts on something, and then dip out for a little while after that.
Yeah,
until anything new happens, but
it's rough at our level where we are, these low thousands in terms of subs, where we're just kind of trying to make our way. And when we find something that works, we try and literally squeeze it every drop. I squeezed every bit of ounce I could out of the Acolyte. I could, and now it's over. It's over. No one wants to talk about it anymore, and I'm done. Now I got to move on. Problem is, that's what was getting me the most traction for the past month. That's what was working. So I gotta find something else. I got a review up today, guys. If you haven't watched it yet, and we're done here, you can go watch my review on Deadpool Wolverine. It's positive. I know. Go figure. But that's another thing. We're here to talk anime. Hail and howdy to everybody across the chats. We hope you guys have had a good Thursday. We know some of you may be coming in late because you're going to go watch Deadpool Wolverine tonight. You might be coming back from watching Deadpool Wolverine. It's a busy Thursday night. A lot's going on. We're happy to have you here across both our chats. And we were going to have a guest, but scheduling once more got in the way. So we're going to try again next month to have Legal Mindset join us for whichever of the 3 shows I have set that Dermy can choose from. I kind of think I know which one he's going to choose. I've kind of baited it, but we'll see if he goes for it at the end of the show.
More than likely, I will. I'm very simple.
Yeah.
But I will say again, we said it last time. I'll say it again this time. Getting guests the size of Legal Mindset is relatively difficult. It's not always easy to get guests. And then when it comes to Legal Mindset, you also have other factors that come into the way, such as
other side of the world.
Other side of the world. He's still a practicing lawyer, and he has his own channel to contend with. These are all things that you always have to throw in there. So.
And you got to understand, he wants to be here. He wants to join us. It's just literally scheduling conflict. It's like a 13-hour difference where he is, 12, 13-hour difference depending on the time of year. And like we said, he's got a real job. I'm just a YouTuber, aspiring writer. I can go whenever.
He travels a lot.
Yeah. So we will try and get him back next month. If it doesn't look like it's going to happen, we will see what comes of the guest next time. But either way, I think we got a good show for you guys. It was Dermy's choice, and therefore, the way we do it now, if people aren't familiar, how we're choosing every month. Now, one of us chooses 3 anime, and we give a bare bones description of what it is, and then the other chooses it. So it's kind of a team effort. It's not just you're gonna watch something that I chose and like it. No, if I chose something and I don't like it, I have to make my own bed and sleep in it. So last month, Jeremy gave me my choices, and we ended up with Mobile Suit Gundam Unicorn. What has been made clear to me now, I thought it was the very end, but it's just about the end of the Universal Century timeline, the OG Gundam, the original the original good stuff that spawned the entire franchise. So, and I said,
there's only what I'll say this is there's only one other thing after this. It's a single movie, and it does play into some of the things that happened during during Gundam, Unicorn Gundam. There's a third piece of the whole puzzle, essentially.
And it is, and as I said, and Dermy said, I had the right phrase when I said this. UC is Gundam in its purest form, without crazy Gundams as you get in other adaptations, other versions, or dozens of Gundams. I mean, you're lucky to get 1 or 2 in UC at a time, as opposed to other ones where you can get, or let's say, for example, G Gundam, where they're all Gundams. It's all Gundams in G Gundam, or in other ones where you have a handful battling each other, whittling it down to just a couple at the end. But we're going to talk Gundam Unicorn for the first part of the show, and then Dermy, I've been catching up on last season's anime from new season. I've had a great time. It was a fantastic season. There was so much good stuff, and as I said I would, I did watch Demon Slayer season 5, Hashira training arc. It was glorious.
I thought you would like.
It was glorious. And we're not going to talk about it in detail because that would be cheating, because we didn't have you guys prep for it. And also, that's skipping way ahead. We haven't even started Demon Slayer yet. We probably won't start it until it's all done, because it's so close to being done. But we will talk about it in a sense that a lot of people were complaining during its release. Oh, what's going on? This isn't right. No, it was glorious. It was perfect. And if they didn't like the action that was in it, then they weren't looking hard enough, because there was action in it, and it was perfect. It was justified. Those final moments. Those
final moments pale to what's about to come.
I know, but just that's how you tease, baby. That is how you tease. And I can see now. I wish it was going to be just 1 season to get it all done, but I'm okay with 3 movies. But we'll get there. At the same time, we've been promising this for a couple of months. We're going to give you our starter anime lists, or for me, it's an adjusted one, because you've already heard me do before. Jeremy wasn't here on the show when I first did it. We all started the whole stream franchise of the show with that. But we're going to give you that, have a little fun, and whatever else comes up, you guys might throw something out there, and we'll chew on it. And we'll spit it back at you and see what happens. But we hope you guys
you hawk
to. I don't hawk to anything. We talk. No. We're not going down that road. Anyway, We hope you guys are having a good night. As I said, hit that like button, subscribe to the channels, and let's get started. All right, Dermy, set us up. Gundam Unicorn, UC Century, Universal
So
Century.
Gundam blah, 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 blah. Gundam Unicorn within the Universal Century is, like Adam said before, I want to say it was just a few years ago. It was the finale of the Universal Century. This was to wrap everything up. And for those of you who don't know what the Universal Century is, it's OG Gundam. It is
Ray, Char, Xeon, Zig Xeon, all that original stuff.
Japan's answer to essentially Star Wars, Star Trek, and everything wrapped up into one beautiful anime. And there's a lot of detail within the Universal Century itself. The bare bones of it is essentially space noids trying to fight for freedom and supremacy, depending on which angle you're looking at it. And then the Earth, I think it's Earth Federation. I always get that one mixed up.
Yeah, so it depends on what iteration you're watching.
Yeah.
Earth Federation, Earth Alliance.
It's hard to remember, but essentially the Earth forces is what I'm just gonna call them, trying to still insert their dominance over the space noids, but at the same time, there's other areas of that. There's Earth supremacy as well. That's the beauty of what Gundam is. Everybody, both sides, everybody's an asshole, but also like there's good people on both sides. There's always good people and there's always evil people on both sides. And that's what I love about Gundam. That's what I love about Universal Century. There's a lot of good Universal Century storylines. There's a lot of bad ones, but this is your tail end. This is how it all wraps up. And there is a lot of mirroring from past storylines or past things, because this, I would say, is the quintessential kind of epilogue. I would probably say, no, not epilogue, like just telling you where we've come from.
It's a final story. It's
the final story. It tells you kind of where we came from, where we are now, and bring all the themes back. And they really do try to harp on like every aspect of this. There's bad and good people on all sides. Some people are lazy. Some people are they're too sluggish to actually show their own force. And then there's some people that just want to be left alone. There's dominance. There's all that within this.
And it plays a lot of the classic Gundam tropes, because this came out in 2010. And by then, there have been, between original Gundam and this, there have been at least 8 or 9 other iterations of Gundam in between. There's a lot of Gundam. And as somebody who's seen a lot of the other Gundam alternate timelines more than my experience with UC, I've seen UC, but I've seen more of the other ones. In this version, when I'm watching all these characters and I'm trying my best to connect to these characters, I'm seeing that they have basically copied and pasted characters that I'm already familiar with from other iterations, which of course are probably copy and pasted from previous UC versions as well. It's reusing stuff. I mean, every Gundam, I mean, there's a line that I forget who said it in this one. I think it was the commander it was the commander of the force that was kind of, I don't remember all their names. I'm sorry.
I listen, I've watched this show like 5, 6, 7 times. I still have a hard time with all their names.
The Earth Force commander with like the shortcut dark hair and the beady
Bright
eyes.
Noah? Oh wait, no. Bright Noah.
Okay, so he was the one that he's the one that arrested everybody at the end.
He is one of the few remaining people from the original story.
From the 1 Year War and all that shit.
From the 1 Year War, he rode around with. He was the captain of White Base with Amuro. He's a badass.
Because he's got a picture of Amuro on his fucking wall.
Yeah, because he looks up to Amuro. Amuro and him were cool, and Bright Noah's a fucking badass.
So he's the one that he basically says at one point to Benager, every Gundam chooses its pilot, and
every pilot chooses to get into a Gundam, but
he also
what you do with.
But he also said Gundams choose their pilot. He also said that.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he did say that line too. But basically,
it was something like that. Yeah.
But in that moment, he reminds us that with the exception of, I think, G Gundam or MS Team, It's always a
And Zeta.
mid-teenager. It's always a
Oh,
mid-teenager who is thrust into the pilot seat and then suddenly has to cope with it of being
mhm.
put in war. It's the original Gundam trope, and it's carried over so many times. And it's either sometimes done really well or ham-fisted. And I gotta say, Banage was ham-fisted for me in all my experiences. As our protagonist pilot, I know I mean Jeremy can attest that halfway through it, I was sending DMs. I don't like this kid. He's a
We
weenie.
were not a fan of Menager, but
Banage just
you were right
I
before.
yeah, but even so, his so-called growth, it's still he's I this is the best way to classify it. He's basically Pokemon Let's Be Friends. That's what he is. He's Pokemon Let's Be Friends. He wants to constantly talk it out when he could pull a I'm gonna kick your ass and not allow you to fight, and then we'll talk. No,
Well,
I mean, goddamn, at, when he is screaming at the chick in the Juggernaut who's demolishing everything, he's known her for 5 seconds, and he's like, "I know you so well. This isn't you. What are you doing? Just stop!" And it's like, what?
he's
Come
known her for a
on.
little bit longer than
It
5 seconds,
felt
but
like
that's just
nothing. I mean, the
he's known her for a little while,
what? All right, a week. A
something
week.
like a week.
But I mean, it's the way this kid makes connections bother me because he meets Audrey Minerva, whatever the hell her name is.
Minerva. That's her
Minerva.
real name because
Minerva.
she's the last member of the zombie family.
Yeah.
She's also in the OG Gundam as well as a baby.
But Audrey Minerva, I'm gonna say this, and I haven't said this during yet. She has to be one of the most goddamn useless characters I've ever seen.
Yeah,
She
she is just a plot
sh-
device.
she just is plopped in each spot. I mean, I compare my easiest comparative to her, my easiest comparison to her is Lacus Klein from Seed, Destiny, and now Freedom. When I eventually see that, where yes, she is a pivotal female character who has a lot of political control, or a lot of people want to get behind her and can sway a lot of minds. But Minerva literally does nothing. Whereas at least Lacus always did something and always had a plan and was smart and was a strategist. Minerva literally just is moved from one point to another by other people and is there to basically be a mid chick who wraps other dudes around her finger.
Mhm.
I mean, Private I just call him because Reedy, whatever hell his name is. He has his meltdown because she says, "I don't want to go with you." On top of the truth that he learns about Laplace's box. But that her breaking his heart is his meltdown and why he hates everything after that. At least that's the way it came off to me. And her and Benager, their initial meeting, they literally meet, and Benager, she becomes his whole world.
Mhm.
And that bugged me from the moment
And
it began.
what I'm gonna say is, I think, and I don't know which one came out first and which one came out second, but I did not know until we start like getting prepped for all this that there is a 22 episode version of Unicorn Gundam,
Mhm.
and I don't know when that one came out and when this one came out. What, like, maybe this is
And
actually like the mini series, like
for the
the
record, guys, we watched
clip
a 7-episode, hour-long each one thing. That's what Jeremy wanted to do, so that's
hour
what we
long
watched.
to, I think the last few episodes are hour and a
No,
half.
no, they were an hour long. I watched them. They
No,
were,
the last one is not.
it isn't. Oh.
No, the last one is an hour and a half, but they're long episodes, and I'm wondering now that you're talking about this, because there is like there's some truth to what you were saying. They do ham fist a lot. They do rush some story, and it doesn't feel good all the time.
I mean,
And I'm wondering if the 22 episode version, which I'm trying to pull up,
but it's
like I could try to
essentially the
get
same
dates.
amount of time, though. If you have 7 episodes that are an hour, each an hour to a little over an hour, it breaks down to about 20 episodes, 21 episodes. So it's the same amount of story. Now, before we keep going, you guys got to understand I didn't finish all of UC. I didn't finish Original Gundam because I got bored by it. If any Gundam elitists are watching this, you're gonna shoot me with knives and tell me to go F myself or use the cringe line, "You need to watch more Gundam." I've seen, including this now, 10 versions of Gundam in my lifetime. I've seen plenty of Gundam, and I was generally bored, but that doesn't mean that I can't say what the show did right. The uh battle scenes are some of the best I've ever seen. The battle scenes were great. I mean, because there was a lot. They didn't use any cheating tricks like using repeated scenes or anything. Everything was unique. Everything was cool. Although I kind of feel like the Gundam battles were a little disappointing, especially the final battle was a little disappointing to me. I expect they went full meta instead of really having them go at it, which I thought they're doing. But I'll get to that back because I do have complaints about the structure of Benager's hurdles and the people he had to get by as he grew. And I still don't even think he grew, honestly. I really don't. You were looking up something.
No, he grew.
Well, he grew, but he grew. Yeah, but it's like this much, and only because people kept yelling at him to accept his own heart. And I have a problem with him. Oh, go ahead.
He grew. So he grew up throughout the whole thing, like he didn't know what to do. And you're right that's a common. Shut up.
Sorry.
That's a common Gundam trope.
It is.
You don't know what you're actually doing. And his whole thing is he's jumping from ship to ship to ship, area to area to area, because he's constantly getting captured because he's the pilot of the Unicorn. The Unicorn is an important Gundam. And when he's captured, he's now interacting with different people. He goes from interacting with the white base people to then, he goes from meeting his father, who he didn't know was his father, to
the last second.
Yeah, slightly interacting with some of the white base people to then being captured by the Zeons. And his whole life, he's been told that the Zeons are bad. Now he's sitting there eating with Zeons and being treated with kindness, being treated a different way. And he's seeing like these people just want to be, they just want to be free to do what they want to do. There's not all of them that are like full frontal, who I have a whole thing on full frontal. And like those got parts of Zeon. Like there's other people that are in Zeon that just want to live a happy, free life. Where then he gets brought back to White Base and he starts seeing like White Base is just trying to do their job. They're just trying to keep the peace. They're trying to do their mission. That he's seeing their perspective.
Finish your thought. Sorry.
And he keeps jumping back and forth, and he keeps seeing different perspectives from the side. This is what I really like: is you're seeing every perspective in this. When it comes to Universal Century and in Gundam itself, OG Gundam, you only got to see the Earth Federation side, and then when you got to Zeta, you started seeing the Zeon side. And this, you see both sides really well. You get to see it
and
laid
it does
out.
that well. I mean, everybody's laid out. My problem is, it felt if this is just 22 to 24 episodes. I don't connect to any single person in this series.
They even throw in the third faction that doesn't get talked about a whole lot, which is the military industrial complex faction, which is that whole
the ugly big boob chick.
Ugly big boob chick, her brother, Menager's family, essentially, which they don't mention it here. And I believe they are connected to the moon base, which if you know Universal Century, like there's a company that owns the moon and they are the people that make all the mobile suits, not just some mobile suits, all mobile suits for both sides, and they profit off of it. They like the war continuing. They like that stuff going on. They make big bank doing all that. So they even have that side in this, which you don't normally get to see that in Universal Century.
And well, the thing is this, and you made a really good point, and the show does it really well, showing us all this stuff. The problem is, it's too much, and these characters are, to me, unlikable. I mean, you have a couple of legacy characters you mentioned that are coming in, or people following legacy lines, which, if you've been following the whole thing, hey, you're going to connect to them. But I look at Benager, and it was an improper way for me to put it. Of course, he grows. He does grow, but he grows in a way where he's still very ill-defined to me as a Gundam pilot. I don't see him truly conquering the hurdles of anything, because all he wants to do is constantly talk. He never actually commits to the fight. And also, when we start talking about Unicorn itself, when we talk about the Gundam itself, Benager's skill as a pilot is very ill-defined, because we see in the beginning, okay, he can handle that kind of mini suit that he grabs Audrey with, but and they allude to the fact that he had some kind of virtual training, whether it was his mother or his father that did it. I
It was
wasn't
his
sure.
father.
It was his father. Okay, but he had some kind of training, but he hasn't had super training as a pilot. Whereas, at least in all other iterations, either somebody's fully trained and get dropped in it, or once again, I'll use Kira Yamato as an example. Kira he is literally a Superman. He has the best mind, the best physique, and his mind can comprehend stuff, and he has the best eye-hand coordination. So he adapts quickly and he learns quickly. Or you go into other situations where, let's say Gundam Wing, they were all trained for this, and they get better or worse as time goes on throughout that series. I don't feel like Benager is a quality pilot. The unicorn does all the work.
Mhm. So one of the things that this show also is doing is it's it's tying it all back to the origins of
Mhm,
Gundam, back to Gundam itself.
mhm,
And you've seen I have seen like the beginning of Seed.
mhm.
The beginning of Seed is almost exactly the beginning to Gundam.
Well, yeah, they're all always the same. Like, yeah, it's very
And
similar. Yeah, yeah.
when you watch Menager, he is almost one to one with Amuro. The exact same style, gets into the Gundam right away, just knows how to pilot it, and he has a very similar path as Amuro. Amuro, and I recently rewatched all of Gundam. Amuro has his hurdles, but you don't really feel like he overcomes those hurdles until he faces Char at the very end.
Mhm.
And that's the exactly what you see here, where he faces, well, Amuro, not Amuro, but Menager faces
I mean,
Char at the very end.
the thing is, Benager maybe killed 2 people this entire time. First by accident or unintentionally, and then maybe later. And I look at other Gundam protagonists, Gundam pilots, whether like it's a team in Gundam or it's characters from Seed, and during those wars or at least conflicts, they murder a lot. They well, maybe not murder, but they outright kill and no problem. But then there's the evolution of I have to come to grips with this is war and killing, and I don't want to do this. And they have breakdowns, and other people then manipulate them through their breakdowns. There's to me so many layers in
I would
other
say
protagonists, and Benazer just kind of yeah, like you
Menat
said, he just moves along from one ship to the other, and they all keep giving him advice. He cries a little bit, and then after Banshee is introduced, suddenly decides, okay, I guess I'll sort of fight, but I'm still going to try and talk to everybody while I'm fighting
I would
instead of just fighting.
say one of the things Menager also, the difference between him and Amuro, because Amuro was a punk at the beginning.
Hmm.
The thing though that is different between Menager and Amuro is Menager really just doesn't want to fight.
No, he
He's
doesn't.
never wanted
I'm not.
a fight. He wants
Yeah.
to talk it out. And that's also another thing that Gundam alludes to and tries to throw in from time to time. They did it really well in Wing, and they showed the
Well,
issues with it.
the
And that's
peace
the
craft
idea of
pacifism. Yeah.
the pacifism. That's more what Menager is. He's just a pacifist. He doesn't really want to fight ever. He gets in there. He gets in the mobile suit mainly as a defense mechanism.
Hmm.
That's just him. Like you can see it even when he's like in combat. He's not fighting because he does want to talk it out. He does want to try to find a different path forward because he knows what a lot of these guys, they know what war is. They've seen war, even if they weren't really like alive during the 1 year war. They're seeing the wreckage of war. They know what war is, and they refer to dropping satellites on Earth, almost dropping a meteor on Earth.
Yeah.
They know the calamities of war, and they don't want to be in it. And what Menager is doing the entire time is actually just witnessing the realities of war.
Hmm. Uh, Generally, 9 times out of 10, your main protagonists are teenagers, Legatus, because that's the
Mhm.
thing. That's part of one of the themes of Gundam: children having to fight this war that adults
Child
start,
wars.
and the adults, some of them happily doing it, some of them feeling guilty that these kids are
Oh,
thrust into it. Now,
two.
sometimes you go,
Mhm. I was gonna say two really good versions. Gundam 00, the main character literally was a child soldier in basically Iran or something like that, their iteration of like the Middle East. And then Gundam Iron Blood Orphan.
they're
all child soldiers.
Yeah,
forced to fight.
Yeah, I mean, 00, and I haven't seen Iron Blood and Orphan, but you've told me enough about it. They take what Wings started by having literal children trained to fight and took it a step further. Like Hiro Yui was the first iteration of the child soldier in Gundam, not just falling into it, but trained to be a heartless killer, a machine. But then he has to find his emotion and find something else to fight for besides just the mission. But as opposed to Kira Yamato, who is, like you said, the Amaro type, where he didn't choose it, he fell into it, but he happened to be the best. And because of who he was, he had to overcome his desire to not kill and find a reason to keep going. And like for Kira, it was to protect people. He fights to protect people. He fights to end the conflict, to find another path. But he understands eventually that he has to fight. That if he doesn't fight, others will manipulate the situation, make it worse, and other people will then be forced to fight in his place, and they won't have his ability to stop it. And I guess Amuro goes through like kind of the same story arc because they're both. Kira's sort of based on him, but he goes his own way.
Amuro, this is taken to Amuro, not here, but Amuro's more story. He does become that, like he becomes like the champion. He's like the main hero and all, but his main thing was he fell into it because his dad made the Gundam. That's the reason why he did it, because he's like, I basically know how to pilot this already. And then when they try to take it away from him, he's like, no, this is my duty. They try to take it away from him a lot. That was a whole thing. And Bright Noah, he didn't do it here, but Bright Noah knows how to slap a bitch a lot. And I wish he did it here. Menager would have probably...
He needed to punch in the face, just like Audrey needed to punch face. A lot of these characters need punches to the face.
To be honest, if Bright Noah slapped either Menager or the other guy who I can never
Lieutenant Riddy.
Lieutenant Riddy. If he slapped one of them,
such a little bitch.
If he slapped just one of them, I would have been like, yeah, there's Bright. The moment Bright Noah shows up, I'm more like, okay, yeah, everything's gonna be good because Bright Noah's Bright fucking Noah.
So Legatus, most of it, like 9 times 10 the teenager, but then you have times like in G Gundam where he's in his 20s.
Yeah, he's like 22.
Yeah, he's in his 20s. Or sometimes you will keep going down the timeline and they'll be older and new ones come in. But usually that is the theme. It is these are children soldiers who are forced into this, and it's the whole look what war does to these kids. And
there's that, and I would say like the overall theme to all Gundam, including G Gundam, realities of war.
Yeah. Or like MS Team, those are adults. MS Team.
Oh, MS Team's so good.
Those are that's like a small, contained, tiny story.
Yep.
But
it's I've really been told War in the Pocket's also really good. And
I haven't seen War in the Pocket.
I heard that it's really good.
But MS Team, those are adults in that one that are piloting.
But Adam's also hinted at it almost every time you're Gundam pilot, except for MS Team, and I don't know about War in the Pocket. They're always new types. At least in Universal Century, they're advanced beings.
Or like in Seed, they are because part of the thing in Seed is that only coordinators can pilot mobile suits because of the intricacy of the interface, and regular humans can't. And eventually, they use Kira to create a operating system that can allow regular humans to pilot. And the thing is about Kira is he's the ultimate coordinator, for lack of a better term. They do call him a coordinator, but he also is a new type because I love Seed, and I want to talk about it in depth one day, but we don't want to get too sidetracked. We need to stay in Unicorn. We're getting way too sidetracked.
Because there's a lot to chew.
Yeah. And point is, I feel, we kind of went on this track because I'm trying to say that to me, Menager is one of the weakest Gundam pilots I've ever seen because I don't understand his training. The Unicorn itself, as they say, it literally does most of the work. The Unicorn, it's designed to do the work for him with what is the NTD system?
The NTD, but it's also made out of 100% cycle frames. So within Universal Century, cycle frames resonate,
amplifies new type,
amplify powers. New type powers and psychic abilities. and Psycho Frame being made 100% out of Psycho Frames, only really a new type can pilot it. You have to basically be the Gundam can't just choose anybody. Like,
yeah,
Bright Noah, actually no, Bright Noah possibly could, because there's theories that he is a new type, but like an ordinary person out on Earth can't hop into the Unicorn. You
which
have
is
to be
why
100% a new type.
Reedy could get in Banshee because he was a new type. We knew he was a new type in the opening battle because he's getting like the little ding ding, and he's looking around. He can see shit that, because if people don't know, a new type because there's like a little white lightning bolt thing that appears above their head when they sense shit and or other new types on the field, and that's how you know. And he was doing that shit in the beginning.
It's because new types are psychic.
Yeah,
and that they don't do a good job of explaining it here. The ability, like what a new type can actually do.
It's kind of their extrasensory allows them to essentially multitask. That's why Maria, even though they didn't show her she didn't get the little new type twinge, I knew she was something more because she was basically operating, they called it the funnel system. I always called it the Dragoon system. She was operating a Dragoon funnel system off her quad mech, her quad Zaku.
And Universal Century, only new types can do that.
Yeah, the only new types can do it in Seed and other ones too. So it's that extra sensory where you can pilot, but you could somehow see everything and control the extra shit at the same time.
A really good example, like this is going back to OG Gundam. Lala. Lala was the strongest new type up until Unicorn. Actually, she still probably is the strongest new type, even though she's gone. She was a sniper unit that could, from like long ranges away, take you out with her abilities. So, and she was one of the first new types.
So that's why I feel as though Benager had he left a lot to be desired for me in terms of, and when it comes to his character as his relationships, like I said, his instant love for Audrey Minerva, it didn't land with me. And his obsession with her constantly, they literally, now I'm joking when I said 5 seconds earlier, they knew each other for 5 minutes.
I do wonder, and I'll check out the 22 episode one, and maybe I'll try to find the manga, because I wonder if that might have been his new type abilities kicking in, and there might have been something that they just didn't translate well, that maybe his new type is saying that he does need to follow this, and he just has this.
But it turns out to look like obsession. Like everything he wants to do is for her, when he knew her for a minute and he took her to the mansion and then he's kicked out of the mansion and then he has to go back to get her for some reason. She's a reason. I just feel like as though there wasn't enough meat on that bone to make me believe it.
Minerva is not my favorite character. I love this one. Minerva is the weakest link.
You agreed with me. She does nothing. She gives a great speech at the end. That's what she does.
She gives like 2 really good speeches.
But she essentially just talks to people, and she's not even convincing. And it's one thing also if she maybe was super hot, but she's mid as fuck. She's mid as fuck. She's not even a super hot Gundam girl. And
she takes after her dad.
Here's also the thing. Maybe it's also a thing for me is that I like it when Gundam animation goes away from what they do in Universal Century. I do not like the character designs at Universal Century. There's something ugly about it to me. There's no beauty. I like it when everybody's beautiful in Gundam. Makes me feel good.
Universal Century is rough at that, but I'm showing you this real quick.
But the Gundams, the mobile suits look great. That's only the character designs. The mobile suit designs were fantastic. Everything looked great. Problem is that sometimes, like during the battle where the chick with the Juggernaut was fighting, or during when the
this is her father. She really takes after her dad.
That's the 70s. I'm not going to complain about the 70s.
Well, no, like they'll bring him back like this was his design. She really takes after her father.
Yeah. But the mobiles, sometimes they didn't even name certain mobiles. Like there was just one moment when the Xeon terrorists were uprising and causing a distraction, so that what is that dude's name? The Xeon guys that Benager was hanging out with.
Oh, I can't. I know who you're talking about, but I
Maria's
can't.
foster father, that
Mhm.
dude who they really want you to connect to him, and I just couldn't.
I was able to connect with him. I love him.
He's not a bad character. It's just it's just for me they're forcing anyway. While they were running cover so that they could get where they were doing. At one point during the battle, this really interesting Federation mobile suit suddenly starts kicking everybody's ass, but we never find out who the pilot was. We don't even find out what the designation of that suit was. But it turned the tide in that fight. And I was curious, like, wait, I want to know what that suit is. It's not a Gundam, but it's a cool suit. I'd like to know what it is because it was kicking
Oh,
all kinds of ass.
there's dozens of cool suits
Yeah.
all throughout Universal Century. My God, second to last battle when they're white base and all that, and they're going up against all those Zaku. They're not Zaku's. The easiest way to
Variations
describe
of
them.
Zaku's. If
They're
it
the
has if it has the Cyclops eye, I just call it a Zaku.
yeah, it's a variation of a Zaku.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of stuff. There's doofs. There's all sorts.
I didn't see
have
any
one-
goofs. There were no goofs.
There, no doof. So there's.
I know you
I'm
said
thinking
goof.
of Dom.
I was
I'm
also
thinking-
saying I didn't see any goofs. So, but
Yeah, I have a goof right up here, but I was thinking Dom. I can't. They have weird names, but you always
Yeah.
know what they are. They always have some of the most unique designs, and that's the thing that Earth Federation does fail on. Is their designs are usually very simplistic. They all look like guys until you get like a mobile unit that is supposed to mimic the Gundam. Because the Gundam was supposed to be their upgraded like units that they then start using more frames that are similar to that, but they still go back to the universe like the guys that just look like humans, for lack of a better term.
Now, I feel we have been very bad. We haven't even said what the whole purpose of this story is. We've just been jumping around. The whole purpose, what's going on here, is that they're about 4 years away from the 100th anniversary of the century since the UC began, and suddenly everybody's afraid that this thing called Laplace's box is going to come out into the open and ruin everything or change everything. Now, I was curious what the hell is going to be Laplace's box for this whole thing, and I was a little bit disappointed at the very end of what Laplace's box actually was. I mean, it's an important thing, and it's a very interesting fact that means something. And of course, when you look at it, and we'll talk about it in a second, then I have a lot of questions about that, and it feels very strange.
Recontextualizes the entire war.
Yeah. So, but I ask you this: is this the first time we ever hear anything of Laplace's box in UC?
Yeah, you've never heard of it until now.
Okay.
So it was this whole mystery of like, what the fuck's the Laplace's box? What's going on here?
Now, did they talk about the assassination of Laplace in previous Gundams in UC? I
don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
So this is the first time that we're watching the essential instigation of the chaos that is the Universal Century with the assassination of Laplace. And
I would say this when you watch Universal Century, you don't really know. Like they constantly reference like this was the spark, this was the spark, this was the spark. This was, I would say, the spark that began everything. But this was the lighter fluid being poured down on everything that ends up lighting everything else up.
Yeah, because they talked about how, it was going to be terrible if he ruled from space, but we learned that in the end, Laplace's box is essentially the original constitution of the Earth Federation, which has an additional clause at the end that says, if something called essentially new types, if a new evolution of humans comes into being, we're going to give them control of everything. That feels like such a weird thing to add into it. It's like
I think what it is essentially like because they're like the new type theory has been around for generations, all before humans actually went up into like space. So they were like, maybe it's possible, whatever. So what do you do if that happens? They're probably going to have to just take over, let them rule space. Will rule Earth, will govern Earth, they can govern space. That should have always been what it is, and that's a huge thing. Like I can't remember his name, but Char's father was advocating for this. Like a lot of people throughout Universal Century advocated, like, let the space noids just govern themselves. Then of course Zombies took over and was like, no, we should govern everything. And it's this eternal quest of just let them govern themselves, no supremacy. Like there are people that we just want to be governed. We want to represent ourselves from now on.
Yeah.
So,
And it's just, so that's the whole thing. So in essentially Benager's actual family, his real family, because his actual dad, they are the ones that recovered Laplace's box, the original Constitution. And it turns out that this old dude who we see since the beginning is the actual dude who picked it up in space, who was one of the original assassins, the terrorists. And that blew my mind. And it's like, wait a minute. This guy started all this shit and then he gained power from it, but now he's guilty 90 years later, essentially, or maybe 70 years later, because it looked like he's in his 20s at the time. And I want to root for people. And like you said, when you're watching a Gundam, you don't really root for a side, you root for the good people on each side. And it just, when something like this gets thrown in the mix and somebody like this at the very end wants to make amends for all the wrongs he did by starting all this shit, and it's just, it feels ham-fisted if this is the way they're going to end this entire storyline, that the dude who was the catalyst for everything wrong in Universal Century after 70 years suddenly had a mea culpa moment.
Well, I think the
know.
reason he had guilt is Universal Century was shit.
Yes. But why wait 70 years?
Don't want to speak up. Maybe he was waiting for somebody that might be willing to actually take the mantle, maybe willing to actually help assist in ending everything. Because if you just come out and say, "Well, no, this whole time it was right there,"
I understand that
you can't really do that. So you need somebody who is powerful enough to come out and basically say that. That's why Maneva is helpful.
It was a gamble. It was a real gamble. It's not as though he engineered anything. He was just kind of hoping. And he was lucky.
It was a gamble because you don't want to give that to Full Frontal.
Yeah, when Full Frontal, Full Frontal puts on a really good show about creating that tri thing where it's a zone where everybody kind of bounces each other. But of course, and I will say it's one of the two good speeches that Minerva gives. Yeah, but then you're just going to cause it all over again when you make the Earth knuckle under, and they will then have a whole level of hatred as they live in poverty and hate you, and then have to scrounge everything together, and then they'll start another war. It's. I understand it's creating the whole let's end the cycle, let's do this, but I just
so it's creating the let's end the cycle, and you go to, and I don't remember his name, but the current captain of the White Base, and it's his
tea. I call him Tea Drinker.
Tea Drinker, yeah, Tea Drinker is a good name for him, but he has this wonderful speech when they're off to Laplace's. His whole thing is we're not doing this for Earth Federation. We're not doing this for Neo Zeon. We're doing this for our children's future and their children's future. We are beginning this whole process that everybody's going to have to start working together on, and it's not going to be easy, but we're trying to finally bring end to this conflict, this eternal conflict that we've been having.
And that's the point. The show does do a good job of laying out how they all keep feeding this conflict and how there were hate, revenge, this and that. You can't live on it. But to me, it just keeps falling short because the messengers are not entertaining me. They're not. There's too many jumpings around, and there's too many people who their motivations just seem all out of whack. I've already talked about Benager, but like Lieutenant Reedy, who eventually learns about the secret of Laplace's box because his family already knows it, and he has a meltdown, but his whole anger towards Benager is that he's a new type and that Minerva chose him. But they didn't give us enough time for Reedy to really care about Minerva, except seeing her a couple times and suddenly helping her escape. It's just, they didn't do enough care. I think overall, one of my biggest complaints of the show is they didn't do enough character work on all these characters for me to make me care. They just threw them all in there. They threw them all in there, and we're supposed to see them all through the lens of Benager half the time. But Benager is so ill-defined that nobody's defined enough for me. and they don't have enough. There's not enough events for me to have them build any sort of storyline. At least for me.
I could think the character, like, they could work better on some of the character development. Mainly Minerva, you really need fucking character development. And then Riddy also does need character development, but the reason he is like, he hates Menager and he hates a lot of this stuff is his family also has connections to the third faction that doesn't usually get talked about, basically the military industrial complex. I can't think of what that whole group's called. They do have a name, but
A&E. It begins with A&E. It's like something engineering or something.
Yeah, it's the people that are profiting the most off of all this, and he does have connections to them. They want it to continue on. Gundams are like this thing that they're seeing that are gonna eventually end the war. He hates that, and he also has guilt in his heart for what his family's done.
When he learns that out, that breaks him a little bit. It sends him to crazy town, but
because he's always wanted to be this good, noble soldier, your Captain America guy, and he gets thrown down this whole thing of my family's actually evil. We're awful.
But they just don't give us enough. And to make and here's my part of this. Usually when you have a Gundam series, your protagonist has to overcome several rivals, whether it's an old friend turned rival or basically the multiple versions of Char throughout Gundam, because there's always somebody with a helmet or a mask. It's just the way it is. Now sometimes they turn out to have most of the time they have very unique stories that they are in Char, but it's basically dude in a helmet mask. They usually are the final boss in a lot of ways.
Or in G Gundam, there's two guys with the mask, and the guy with the mask that you think is going to be the big bad guy is actually a different guy with the mask.
Yeah. Well, G Gundam is a class all unto itself. It breaks every single Gundam trope because of the way it was designed as a show. It is not the template we are referring to when we're talking about this tonight. But most of the other time, there's always rivals. There's always rivals created from certain battles that our protagonists have to get through. Benager's rivals, they're flat. I mean, Miss Maria, she's not a rival. She ends up being a friend, and she has her own little rush story arc, which requires previous UC shit to have make sense. And then it's just kind of done, and they do so little with her. There's really not a lot to connect. Riddy is his next rival. Full frontal when they're calling him Red Comet. He's there. He is the ultimate final boss, but he disappears for 3 episodes
because he solely works in space, really.
Yeah, but he's pulling strings because they did basically put a bug on the unicorn so they can monitor it. But he literally disappears. Now, if you are a full-on UC person, you don't need him to be there because you know what he is, you know what he represents. But if you're just watching this thing in an isolated moment, if we're supposed to feel him as a threat, he's not there. We get thrust in on a bunch of mid-range nobodies who Benager has to go through, who he again just wants to talk to, and finally, Riddy becomes his opponent for a while because of reasons. For me,
because he's a new type and he has this existential crisis going through him, and at the same time he hates Gundam, so he gets into he's their perfect tool right now because he doesn't realize he's a new type.
But it's so much jammed in there that Riddy has zero development, and Riddy should be a better pilot. He should.
Well, so the reason, one of the big things, and we said it earlier, cycle frames, new type technology, all that, the unicorn, and it's one of its counterparts, which is the Banshee, which is supposed to be the Black Lion. They only really work if you have a pure new type in there. They tried with what is called a cyber new type, which is your engineered new type, the fake new types. They're fake people, clones, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah,
they don't work fully well within Unicorn or Banshee because you also have to be able to control your emotions. Your emotions are very important to controlling Unicorn and Banshee. And when you're finally at peace with yourself, you can fully unleash all their true power.
Yeah. And that's the thing.
And cyber new types really don't have emotions.
Yeah, Maria couldn't really do it, which is why Banagher kicked her ass, but then Riddy gets in it, and Riddy, he is a new type, but he's an inexperienced new type. He hasn't unlocked his powers for whatever. But it's just their confrontation felt, I'll use the word again, ham-fisted. It's like, oh, we have to have them fight, and even when they're fighting, it's Banagher yelling at him, "This isn't you. This isn't you." And I was just so tired of hearing that. It's, why don't we have a serious fight? Why don't we have a serious fight where let's just forget the talking and deal with it? And then when you're, I mean, maybe it's a wrong to think that, but when you've been beaten down, then it's time to talk. The victor gets to talk, and usually it is the hero protagonist who gets the win, and then the other one's forced to listen. But and then finally at the end, Full Frontal comes back, and when
he has the Neo Zeon.
Yeah, and he's in his Red Comet mech that has been fused with this other
the Neo Zeon.
Okay, so that's what's called, the Neo Zeon. It's
so his mech. It's not Sazabi, it's something else, and I had it pulled up the other day. It's like the Sanjua, which is really good design, by the way.
It looks cool, but it's just such a letdown.
He combined it with what is called the Neo Zeon, which they have only a handful of those, and they build on the Neo Zeon in the movie.
But they just the way they fight is just, they ended up doing nothing with that fight. It became, let's go through time and space and watch everything, and then
it becomes a psychic battle there at the end.
I know, but it's lame. I'm gonna say it. It was lame.
So I loved it because I did not know this. It was always said that Full Frontal was the reincarnation of Char, and I did not know this until just the other day. He is a cyber new type, and he actually does have like the official will of Char within him. So he is Char Osnabal.
Yeah.
He is the last remaining parts of Char Osnabal, and he's the worst remaining parts of Char Osnabal. Because Char is a good guy. But he has his own perspective of the things, and he's a little bit more of a space supremacist himself, but he's a decent guy. This is all of the worst aspects of Char Osnabal pooled into one being, and he has all of his abilities, and he's super charismatic, super able to bring people to his cause and everything like that, and he still is fighting for the will of all this stuff, but for a very corrupted reason. So when you get that final battle, they're doing this psychic thing. That's why you have Lala and Amuro come down to take him away, because this is finally laying Char to rest.
Yeah, and I got that part. I realized, okay, here come the older characters to get him out of here.
And it's important
massively
because
important.
Those are
I know that it's massively important, but I feel as though the execution was poor to me. I was just waiting for, once I realized, oh, okay, we're going super meta here. Let's just get it over with.
It might be because I'm a huge Gundam fan, and Universal Century, it's not my favorite, but I really love Universal Century, and I do find calm in this because we mentioned it earlier. I would like the Laplace's box, it was the gasoline that was set up and everything, but the spark that lit it all off was the death of Char's father. Mm-hmm. His assassination. And Char then grew very bitter, very vengeful, very angry. And that's why he went after all the Zabi family. That's why he did everything that he did, because he had this corrupted view of what his father's dream was Space Noid independence. And he was going to fight for that no matter what. And now it's Char's finally being laid to rest, and all of the Universal Century can just finally go off.
Yeah. I mean, it's this. That's why this is the culmination of this entire original Gundam timeline. And if this is, and I'm not saying you, when I say you, if this is your thing, by your I mean anybody who's really into it, and you love it, and to you it's the bestest, purest form of Gundam, this is for you. If you're somebody like me who has watched parts of the Universal Century, has not enjoyed the initial run of it, for a lot of reasons, I didn't enjoy watching original Gundam, because it was the third Gundam series I watched because this is early 2000s. There's no Blu-rays yet. There's no DVDs yet. There's only bootlegs. We got them, and then suddenly Toonami's airing shit on a regular basis. You get access to stuff like never before. Internet is in its infancy, and as we know it now, there's no websites hosting shit yet. Nothing's available, so you got what you got. So I had watched a couple different iterations of Gundam before they decided to air the OG Gundam, and I started watching it. And after about a month or so, I think a third of the way through it, I realized I'm really bored. I'm not enjoying this. I'm not going to watch it anymore.
And this is the curse of UC. As for every, like for me, for every unicorn, and for both of us, Mobile Suit 08 team, for every one of those, there's also a Zeta and a Zeta 2.
And for you, Hathaway.
Yeah.
I only do that to make him wince.
And Hathaway. And I hate Hathaway because Bright Noah was right. He should have just beat that fucking kid. Oh my God. But no, like there's really good storylines and there's some really shit storylines. That's the downside to Universal Century. There's so much there that you're gonna probably find a story that you like.
I thought MS Team was okay.
Thankfully, you do have to watch like Zeta, and I think there was one other thing just for like the finale for Amoroso's story. But once you get to like Char's Counterattack is beautiful. It's such an amazing storyline, encapsulates Amuro and Char at their peak.
Well, that's the one where he drops the meteor, right?
Yeah. Such a wonderful story. And then it starts following more other characters. Char's Counterattack was supposed to be the end originally, and then they started branching off in some more.
Oh, hey, we got to keep
closing off storylines.
We got to milk this shit. We got to make money.
Oh yeah, but this is Star Wars and Star Trek. Yeah. Universal Century was designed that other writers could come in here and you could have other storylines going on.
That's why I prefer alternate timelines, because I like the freedom there, and also generally, and this will segue to the next part of this, I really like in most other alternate Gundam timelines, I really enjoy the designs of the different Gundams, and I gotta say, Unicorn is pretty fucking vanilla. As a Gundam,
Unicorn, I love
Banshee.
Unicorn
Look
Gundam.
cool.
Even
Banshee look
Banshee.
Cool.
Banshee is beautiful. Unicorn super vanilla. There's one that is even cooler. It's the third one that they bring into the movie called Enix, and it's supposed to be Phoenix, and it's gold. Ooh. And we don't know if it's stronger than Unicorn or equal to Unicorn, but I like these because I like Unicorn because of its abilities and some of the things that it can do, and its own funnel system, which is those badass shields.
Ariel, I will answer that question in a little bit when we get to another segment where it'll be relevant. So I will come back and answer that question in a little bit.
Isn't Macross or no? I don't.
Macross and Robotech are essentially the same. Just one's the Americanized version, but the technology's the same essentially.
Okay. I don't know. I can tell you the difference between Gundam
I can answer.
I can tell you the difference between Gundam and Code Geass.
I will answer that question because it will lead into a segment later. So I will come back to that one, Ariel. But I guess I found Unicorn just to be such a vanilla Gundam, and it's like, oh, we're just gonna load it up with the armaments here and there, and to me also at this point, because it is 2010, they're pulling off of ideas from other Gundam series for some of its abilities at that point. So
I think one of the things though with like Unicorn Gundam is it's such a simplistic look for something that's so powerful, and it was supposed to be like their iteration of a god Gundam. It is UC Timeline's god. It is the strongest Gundam, and they were like, here we go, white. And and throughout UC, a lot of the Gundams, some of them were really extravagant, some of them were very simple.
Yeah, and
this is your most simple one yet.
Yeah,
but God, does it have power?
And it's very apparent that Witch from Mercury copied its Psycho Frame power-up glow thing when they did theirs. That's very apparent now. to me.
Yeah.
That
And by the
that's
way,
where they
I still want a Gundam. Oh, I do have a Unicorn Gundam, but there's some more cooler ones that it can light up and transform, and I want one.
Yeah, I was waiting for the whole time for it to go, okay, red's not going to be its permanent color. It's going to go to green, and then it went to green. Like up there, it's green at the end. So,
In
it's
green, it's its full power.
yeah. So and then it crystallized, and
Mhm.
oh, Benager, you can't ascend. We need you here so that you can go be boring with Minerva.
No, but he had to ascend.
No, didn't they pull him out of it?
No, he
Pulled him out of
ascends, I
it.
believe.
No, they pulled him out of it. He's there. He didn't
I
ascend.
need to go back and I need to.
Riddy pulled him out of it because Riddy was there. Pulls him out.
Oh, maybe I'm thinking of something else. Never mind.
Unicorn reverts to base mode at the end, and Benager doesn't ascend because he hears Minerva calling to him. He hears Riddy calling to him. I listen. Again, call me a certain kind of weeb, but and I know this is the UC thing, going with new types and psycho armor and psychic, using their psychic powers. And I get it that stop the meteor, that it's the next stage that they did stop the meteor crashing, but now to stop the giant beam the way they did, it didn't work for me. Because I guess I'm used to other Gundam series which are a little more technologically based. And when you get all super spiritual, it feels, I know that, and it's not breaking Gundam lore, but it's just leaning way too into it for me to stop that kind of mega cannon attack that they did. I don't know.
Hey, that's fair.
Yeah.
It worked. I think that's just how Universal Century is they
Yeah.
do get very spiritual a lot and very
And that's the thing.
metaphysical.
Yeah. I mean,
And
yeah.
with you kind of see it in because you've seen all of Mobile Suit MS8 team or whatever it is.
Long time ago. Yeah.
The final episode is a very metaphysical question of what's actually going on here and how is this all happening kind of an episode because even though it's a retelling of Vietnam or Korea, one of the two, the last thing is the guy trying to find his friend and the girl that he left with, and they stop at that little village of all those kids that were new types, and then it gets revealed at the end that they were dead the whole time. And you have a swan always flying, and that swan's Lala.
Okay.
And it gets Universal Century has this whole thing of being very metaphysical.
And I think that's, and I know that, and I'm not going to say it's not Gundam because it's very Gundam because it's the OG Gundam. To me, I think that's one of the reasons I don't enjoy Universal Centuries because it goes too metaphysical, too spiritual. And if I'm watching a mecha show, I want to watch a mecha show. That yes, there can be some spirit stuff because you know that G Gundam, and again, that we're not supposed to use that as a template, but there's a lot of spiritual stuff going on there. Double O has a lot of that shit, psychic shit in that too. But to me, they pull it off better. And I'm not the biggest fan of Double O. We've had that conversation. I'm not the biggest fan of Double O, but they pull it off better.
And they do. Better. I would say like other things that can do the metaphysical really well. This is taking it away from Gundam. Code Geass can do the metaphysical and questions of the spiritual realm a little bit better.
Yeah. So this is why I do love Gundam. There is a Gundam for everybody. If you want to watch little kids fighting with gunplas, there's a Gundam for you.
If you want to watch a chibi Gundam,
I hate
there's
it.
There's a Gundam deformed. For you.
I fucking hate SD Super Deformed. I fucking hated that. Hated that so
SD
much.
is fun when you're a kid.
I was watching it as an adult and I found it super retarded.
Yeah, when you start growing up, you realize it's retarded.
Zaku!
Shut up!
Shut up!
And then it wasn't until later on I was realizing, oh, they really are just taking other Gundams and forcing it in here, aren't they?
Yeah. So, but I mean, and that's why I get annoyed by what I call the Gundam elitist fans. That if you like certain Gundams, you're a lesser Gundam fan. No, there's enough Gundam for everybody to have their happy place and enjoy themselves. Like for you, it's G Gundam. That's your ultimate Gundam happy place.
G Gundam is always my ultimate Gundam happy place, and it's one of the most hated versions of Gundam until Witch of Mercury.
I mean, Witch of Mercury, it's its own special place in hell. Fuck that show. I mean, that's universally hated. Can we say that?
Yes.
Witch of Mercury is universally hated.
Witch of Mercury is universally hated. It really is. The only people that like it are the LGBT.
The
I'm
tourists.
not lying. Like the tourists are the
Fucking
only
tourists.
people that like it. Almost every other iteration of Gundam fans, they might buy the Gunpla just to have it, but they're usually making like jokes out of it. Like it is not. It's hated.
Yeah, it's hated because and it shouldn't have been, because it had a good starting premise. It
Mhm.
was a new kind of system. It was a new thing, but then the second half went full agenda. Somebody got their mitts on it, and they went full agenda.
And it could have been the next G Gundam, where G Gundam, and I'm not meaning that in like over the top anime. I mean like G Gundam had a different premise.
They even essentially copied Unicorn with that final Gundam. Now that I've seen Unicorn, this all white Gundam that is super powered and this and that, they essentially copied elements of Unicorn. So
yeah.
I mean,
why do you think there's tons of reasons to hate it? Freaking
Ariel,
Gundams.
They made us. They and I'll explain it. Yes, Ariel, I'll get to your super chat in a second. When we between segments. Witch of Mercury gave us a whammons for a weak whammons for a Gundam pilot. What the hell was her name?
Tan one. There's tan one and white one.
Yeah. Gave us stupid girls for our pilots. They set it up. Basically it's Gundam school is what it was, which was kind of cool. Everybody's in school. There's no war going on this time. It's kind of big corpo's your enemy. Yeah, big corpo's your enemy. And it was an interesting thing. But then suddenly it was only 25 episodes. So they gave us the first half of the season, but then they set up all this stuff that maybe the different segments of the corporations are going to go to war with each other. And then Earth is a bunch of terrorist guys who have been beaten down by the space colonies, but we never really get a reason why. They did zero world building for this Gundam. Nothing. And then suddenly everybody's gay. Everybody's gay suddenly when they had spent the first half of the season building up hetero relationships. But now everybody's gay. And it's all about ableism. And all it's just it got and the story made no sense. And suddenly here's a super weapon out of nowhere, when usually super weapons are very well built up in a Gundam when they happen. And the Gundams were horrible.
All the non-gun there's like 2, maybe 3 non-Gundams that look good,
and they all get their asses handed to them. There's no, it had potential, and they squandered it for agenda, which I'm surprised by. So that's why it's bad. We could go on, and we've gone on in the past. But in the end, listen, Unicorn.
They did not paint the Gundam alphabet flag color, but they
I miss that when it's not colored when it doesn't have the basic color to start. I miss it. I always do when it doesn't have the basic Gundam coloring to start out. I mean, as a hero protagonist gets his Gundam upgrade, usually they always change the look of it, change his color. That's fine, but I miss that starter color set. I always do when it's not there.
I just remember the main character's name, Saluda.
Oh God, I hate it. She's so retarded. She has zero character growth, except except Scissor Me Timbers. That was her character growth.
Her character growth was here's 2 guys that I really really like. To I'm gonna go munch some carpet
because I have mommy issues. That's it. Yeah. So, but all right, Unicorn Gundam. Solid. It's solid. Despite my complaints, it is solid. I was just bored. I didn't hate it. I was just bored. You need to really love Universal Century, I think, to get the most out of this. I find the characters are lacking for me connection, but Dermy's more into Universal Century than I am, so he found the connections. I think it really is. You have to like Universal Century to really like Unicorn and to get its full impact.
And again, I threw you in. I told you I threw you in the deep end. You were like, "No, it's fine. I know some Universal Century." No, I threw you in the deep end.
I think I traded water. I traded water well enough, though.
You survived a little bit. I still had to get you a life raft.
I didn't drown. You're
not.
I was doing all right. I got out there. But hey, I heard that.
Damn it! I was like, part of me is like, You know what? I shouldn't have said it, but if he didn't catch it, it's perfectly fine.
I have Dre's made some clothes for me. I haven't uploaded them yet. And if I had one uploaded, I'd play it right now, but I haven't uploaded it yet. He made some specific clips for me. Even though they don't pertain to you, I would have played it anyway. Anyway, basically shut up half breed. I had to make a bunch of shut up half breed clips. But all right, so
Ariel. Yes, they put a chicken in and made it gay.
Yes, exactly. So Unicorn is fine. You can enjoy it. It's still good Gundam. It's high quality Gundam. The production value is 10 out of 10. It looks great. The music is great too. The score works really well, and it's if you're into Universe Century, you'll have a fun time with it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, but I'm not going to say it's bad. It just isn't my cup of tea Gundam, and that's why again I'll say I love Gundam. There's Gundam for everybody out there,
and it's very there's a lot of metaphysical stuff, and when I like some anime, I like a good chunk of metaphysical and questioning of
I like it when
spirituality
to me it
like
works, and for me it didn't work here, but then maybe that's because I don't like UC and I don't like the way they do metaphysical stuff, so that's why it doesn't work for me. So,
and I can agree. There's sometimes where metaphysical stuff just what?
All right, real quick, Ariel for $5. Thank you, Ariel. If you do it here, watch Flash Gets Disney Buys Dragon Ball Z and Disney Star Wars Nightmare. And if not, here's for money. Well, Ariel, we don't do that on a show, but I will take this as another down payment. We'll do it on Mondays. That's where we just do random shit because we are on a schedule with this show. We try to stick to the segments. But thank you for the $5. She's got several down payments now. You don't.
I don't want to watch that. I don't. That sounds bad.
No. Listen,
bad.
Listen, these things are actually pretty funny. They're pretty funny. Ariel has a thing now on Mellow Mondays where she buys airtime to make us watch silly or horrible shit. And it's essentially her version of making you drink.
Oh,
it's her version of making me drink. Watch shit I don't generally want to.
listen. All I'm gonna say is, it looks like a joke, but Disney still.
You would have liked the Attack on Titan one. You would have liked that one. We had a fun time with that. We laughed a lot. It was funny because I think I posted the picture of the end of it in the Ballbusters chat room where it had the Beast Titan in the multi-titted bikini. And I said,
I did see that one.
That's what that came from. So it was we could make fun of Cloud with that. It was fine. Anyway, so thank you, Aaron, for the $5, and we'll add that to the list for Monday. We'll add that to the list. Okay, so let's move on. I want to talk a little Demon Slayer, and I know that makes
okay. I like Demon Slayer. I haven't watched the season, but again, I've read it.
Well, you read it all. You know what happened. I'm watching as it's produced for anime. And season 5 dropped. It was shorter than I thought. It was only 8 episodes, but 2 of the episodes were over 40 minutes. So it was more like maybe 10 episodes.
Last 2 episodes?
Maybe no, first and last.
Ooh, first and last.
Yeah. They went 40 plus on both of those, first and last. So it was really 8. It was only 8 episodes, really more closer to 10 or 11 if you break those apart. But Dermy said to me, when I finished Swordsmith Village arc that, it's going to be a slower arc. You might not like it. It's going to be a lot of character work. And I said, I'm probably going to like it. And I loved it. It was just...
Best. Yeah. Oh, not Rengoku.
Yeah. You like Himajima? He's your favorite?
Hima fucking Jima is best fucker.
I loved all the Hashira. They all got some great screen time in this. It was our time to get with them. Of course, we didn't spend enough time with tits. He ate pancakes and he moved on. He ate pancakes, he stretched for a day and he moved on. And I was like, no, I want to. She's talking about taking a bath. I want to go to the baths. Why are we going to the baths? She's the bestest.
She's coming back.
I know. Well, yeah. Listen. I always forget her name because I haven't seen her enough, so I don't have her name tattooed on my
I call him Heart Hashira.
But she is fantastic because she and Tanjiro, they're basically the same. They're the same. Ultra positive, happy. And it's like, yes, she is best girl. She is best girl. Without a doubt. She's best girl. But the Hashira training arc, and it literally said, I love a good training arc. I love watching characters grow and get stronger. And because then it's legitimate, because you need this arc to now to go into the final part to understand that Tanjiro is ready for what's about to go on. Also, man, this season, they heavy beefcake, dude. All these dudes running around with their shirts off. Damn. The Demon Slayer core, there's some fit dudes. There are some fit dudes. But one thing I did learn is that most of the Demon Slayer core is trash, man.
Mhm.
They're complete trash.
There's only a handful of good. Well, that's I don't remember when they were talking about it. I was rewatching one of the seasons. I don't remember if it's the first season or if it's after or if it's third season. The guy who's in charge said like we're not as strong as we used to be.
Mhm.
Like
I mean,
they've mentioned it like they've been dwindling.
if you're not a Hashira or somebody who will at some point become a Hashira, you're utter trash.
Mhm.
Because I don't want to go into too details because it's something that we need to save for an actual discussion of Demon Slayer. But the opening thing where the Wind Hashira and the Snake Hashira are basically trying to save a chick who's been kidnapped by demons, and they've got some backup with them, some scrubs, and they attack an abandoned castle. Man, the scrubs, they're barely holding on against, we're talking like lower, like not even ranked, like basic level demons. These guys are nothing. And they're having to fight out, but it's glorious to watch the Hashira at work and then realize they need to train, and they need to train themselves. They need to train other people. And that's the whole point. They're not only training each other, but they're trying to train everybody up to level them up for the big fights to come.
They're trying to get the demon marks.
Yeah, the marks. And but what I love about the whole thing is that this is world building. That's essentially what I want to talk about here. This whole season, short as it is perfect, pure character and world building. And there were tourists out there for the past couple months while this was airing, complaining that
IGN gave it a really bad score.
Yeah, IGN among them, CBR, all of them whining, complaining. What happened to Demon Slayer? What happened to motherfuckers? This is what a good story is. This is what real character work, real world building looks like, where you have them interact. You get those extra little relationship stories to flush everything out.
He became my favorite character because of this season, because of learning about him.
Mm-hmm.
Before he was just blind dude with beads that cries a lot. Oh my God, that is a
horrible backstory.
That's a horrible backstory.
Horrible.
He's a tragic dude, and motherfucker's the strongest Hashira out there. Yeah. Better than Ren fucking Goku. I'll die for that man.
Oh, dude, and his mace sickle combination, that was a surprise. Oh shit, that's his sword.
Because he can't see, so he has to have his own way of fighting.
Yeah, I mean, it was fantastic. East Blue Nation, yes, we have talked about it. We can talk about it a little bit. We can give you a rundown. We have talked a lot about One Piece. As you can see, we are quite the One Piece fans around here. But we'll come back. Let us finish the segment, and we'll answer your question. We'll give you the rundown on how we feel about that. Since you are new here, we'll give you our thoughts on that. But yeah, so Himejima, his backstory is horrible. We didn't get everybody's backstories, but I love seeing the growth of this. East Blue Nation, sorry, we don't know you. You're new here. We don't just bring anybody on stream. This is for people we know and guests we know. So you hang around enough. If you have a channel, you can tell us. We'll check you out maybe one day, but we don't just let anybody on the stream. It's not how it works. But thank you for joining us today. Yeah, so the watching Edward, like when he goes to what's the Mist Hashira's name again? I don't remember. Mist Hashira.
I don't remember. Again, I'm horrible.
These are their names. I've only watched all the way through multiple times up through season 2. So I haven't done when right before the movies come out, I'm going to do a full rewatch of everything. So that the thing is, there's 3 movies, right? It's gonna be a trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
That means it's probably gonna take 2 years for them to finish it. Oh,
it's gonna be worth it.
I know, and they think it's gonna be movie animation, dude. It's gonna be movie animation. Ooh, it's gonna be so good. But when Tanjiro goes to train with the Mist Hashira, and he's just so mean to the other lower ranked ones, but then suddenly he sees Tanjiro, hey Tanjiro, how you doing, man? It's building off what you saw in Swordsman's Village. It's when he starts training with the stamina stuff with the Sound Hashira and his beautiful wives, who are just all walking around with them titties hanging out. And that's why he wins at life. We can confirm. I sent him a screenshot. Sound Hashira wins at life. Sound Hashira wins at life. His story gets a little cap on it. How he's struggling because he wants to be out there, but his injuries, he wouldn't be able to survive anything other than probably a lower ranked demon fight. Anything higher than a low rank or a scrub demon, and he'd be done because he doesn't have 2 arms anymore. His whole style of sound breathing requires dual wielding to make it work. So he can't do it, but he still wants to contribute. He still wants to be there. And it's fun to get more from him. So you watch all these relationships, and it's truly how it works. It's truly how it works. And I love it. I love it.
There's still more to come. Have they built on some of Tanjiro's breathing yet? I don't remember if they did that last season or this season.
No, they well at the end, at the very end when he completes training with Himejima, he unlocks the mark completely. But that's about it.
Does he get the memories of the past?
No, he has not got. He had a flash here and there, but nothing concrete. He just kind of
so
unlocked
that's coming up still.
He just unlocked it.
That's still coming up.
Everything in this for Tanjiro had nothing to do with breath technique. It was all other stuff in the training arc here.
I'm not going to spoil what happens. There's a lot. There's still more world building coming.
Well,
there's still more
flashbacks. I mean, just the end of it, the hardcore nature of Ushibuyuki and what he did at the end there. Oof.
What I can't wait for you to see is the Wind Hashira interacting with his brother and getting that backstory. They started
it a little bit. They started it this one, but
they started it, and then there's also the Snake Hashira who you thought the Stone guy had a fucking horrible past.
Yeah.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
But so I really wanted to let you know that after watching, I burned through it in a night because it was only 8 episodes. I burned through it in a night. That I did love it. It was a lot of fun. And I am so thrilled and excited for the conclusion right now. I am so hyped. When it ended the way it did, with them falling into the Infinity Palace, the Infinity Castle, I was like, oh.
I'm still trying to figure out how they're gonna do the 3 movies.
Because there's no clean breakpoint.
No, there's no clean break points. They did go.
Because everybody's in there. Everybody's there.
There's only one clean break point. One. And that's at the before the final battle.
So there's 3 movies, and they're probably all going to be 2 hours long. That's my guess. At least 2 hours long.
I could see if they do it how I'm thinking they're gonna do it. You'll probably get, because there's 4 main fights within the whole Infinity Castle.
Because there's the remaining upper 4, and then there's Muzan.
Muzan's gonna be the last one.
Well, of course,
and he's gonna he has to have a movie all by himself.
Yeah, I would describe, because we don't have his backstory yet.
You get his backstory here.
I'm saying we don't have it yet. I know it's going to have to have. They tease it at the end of this now, so I have a fair understanding of where it's going to go. But I'm excited. Bottom line is, I'm excited.
Be excited.
I am so thrilled.
The ending is still.
I know you said that some people don't like the epilogue. I'm probably going to like it.
I think people are going to love the epilogue, but the actual ending to the story, I think some people are going to feel a little blue-balled, a little weird. But it's not Attack on Titan level weird.
I have been in love with this show since it first started. I have loved every minute of it. I have not had a down moment at all, and it has been the highlight of every season when it's on right now. It has been fantastic. And even though that people think, there's no action, Hashira were freaking fighting each other in training. That's all the action I needed. And then that final moment right before they all fall into the castle. That was
And then
outstanding.
there's something that no people aren't gonna realize happened this season that really, really plays into next
It's
season,
some
and it plays
it's what happened to shit.
lightning
What's
guy.
the lightning kid? I can't remember his name suddenly. I forget his name. It's whatever was in that letter that he got. Whatever was in that letter that made him all serious at the end there. He got a letter, and his face was bloodied, like he'd been banging his head against something because he didn't want to
There
look
are
at Tanjiro.
there are 4 fights in the Infinity Castle.
And
No,
that
no, actually, I'm wrong.
well,
There are
4
5
fights,
fights.
but
There's five.
Yeah.
I was wrong. There's 5 fights.
Well,
in the
there's 4
Infinity
upper
Castle.
ranks, and there's Muzan, so that makes 5.
I'm not counting Muzan.
You're not okay. Well, there are 5 fights, and there are all the Hashira, and they're all the Hashira and everybody who's their allies. And so I'm excited. I wanted to because you said you tried to talk to me about it 2 weeks ago, and I said I'm just about to watch it. So I wanted to get it out there that it works because it's great world building, and I love it.
That's what this. So this whole season is world building, character development, building up stuff, and setting up at least 3 payoffs moving forward, because they hinted at one of them kind of with the butterfly girl. They started hinting at some stuff there and playing around with some stuff. There's a lot of shit there.
Yeah. So I can't wait for this to be done. I can't wait for it to probably be a fantastic ending, and I can't wait to get a box set and put it on my shelf at this point. I'm looking forward to adding it to everything back there. I'm looking forward to it. All right, real quick though, because I want to make sure we can get East Blue Nation. So apparently, East Blue Nation, if you want to get in contact with me, clearly you have a larger channel than I do. You have more. You have a large sub count. So if you are a steady content creator, where is it?
He talks a lot. I looked it up as well. He talks a lot about the live action One Piece.
All right, so Legatus gave you the best advice. Check out the rest of my channel. See what I do here. Check out Dermy's channel. His link is in the description below for this stream. Dermy and I do a lot of work together in our particular network that we're in. If you like what you see on the rest of my channel and you think we might get along, you can email me. My email for all channel business, it's on my about page, or you can DM me on Twitter. There's my Twitter right there. You can DM me there. And if you think we might have good collaboration, reach out to me or reach out to Dermy. It's both our show. This particular show is both ours. But if you want to reach out to me first, because for my general content as well, let me know. We'll talk about it. And I can set us up to stream on one of my more open shows where it's kind of an open door policy. And I have people come on and we get to know each other and see how things work. So check it out. And we stream it. If we work out, then there's a path for you to join us on this show, because we're always looking for guests and always looking to make new friends. So that is a way. And like Legatus said, all the information to contact me, contact Dermy is out there. As for your question about One Piece live action, I am a very old school One Piece fan. I have been watching it for over 20 years at this point. I was very anti live action One Piece before it came out. When it came out, I gave it the shot because why not? I thought it was good for what it was. It did what Oda Sensei wanted it to do. It made the bridge he'd been trying to do forever between anime and normies. It got a lot of people who wouldn't generally be interested in One Piece into it. I personally found it I didn't like a lot of the casting choices. I was not a fan of some of the shifting around of the story plots they did in order to get certain things done in season 1. And I am of the belief that they have a very high bar that they must get over in season 2, that they can't, with season 2 just beginning production now, they cannot budge the timeline with season 2. Things must go in order. Certain things must be achieved. And if they're smart, they'll stop right before they get to Alabasta. They'll stop. And then season 3 will just be Alabasta. They can't get Logetown. They can't get the entire beginning, those first few islands, Whiskey Peak, Little Garden, Drum. They can't get all that shit in season 2 and do Alabasta. They can't. It would be impossible. And it would destroy the goodwill that Oda Sensei has built. So I thought it was fine. It was not as bad as I thought it was gonna be, because let's be honest, most live action anime is dog shit. And I'm happy that it has broadened the fan base and people are actually also then going to read the manga and watch the anime. I'm happy for that. And that's all I really want. I want One Piece to be embraced because I love it. It's one of my favorite things when it comes to anime. As I said, I've been watching it for over 20 years. I started with the Four Kids Abomination and then quickly realized it was an abomination, and then went and watched the real thing. And since then, I've been watching and reading it all the way along. And Dermy has most of the same thoughts I do. Maybe a little more harsh than I was in some areas.
I hate the live action.
He hates it.
I'm just gonna come out and say it. I'm not a fan of the live action. I don't like how there's some things I do think is interesting that they did, especially with Zorro, but there's a lot of it that I'm just like, why do we need to change this up? Why do we need to cut this down? Why can't we do like a proper telling of like Usopp's story and stuff like this? And then moving forward, if you don't get Chopper right, if you don't get a lot of the stuff right, I don't think it's gonna be as breathtaking as it is.
Chopper and Robin are the high bars for next season. They have to get Chopper right, and they have to introduce Robin correctly, and they need a knockout for Robin. They need a knockout, and they need to not cheat and bring in things ahead of time. They need to follow the course. No, and God damn it, if they make freaking Crocodile a trans, they make him a woman. I know this whole theory. Oh, Crocodile might have wants a woman because Eva might have changed him. I don't care about that. Hasn't happened in the manga yet. Don't freaking try to do it in your live action. Don't do it. So,
and I can agree, East Blue. Like Chopper alone can make or break it all.
Yeah, if they don't get that CG right,
I'll be perfectly fine saying that I hate it and everybody else likes it. I'll be perfectly fine with that. I'll stick with my stuff. But
I mean, I didn't
that's
review
how
it.
I am.
I didn't do a review for it because there was a lot of other shit going on when it came out, and also I wasn't sure I was going to do it. But then people said, "Adam, look at it. It's not as bad as you think." I will do a full review of season 2. Now, hopefully, Netflix won't be dumbasses and fucking batch drop it. Go week. I mean, that was also the thing. Netflix should have done it weekly. Should have been weekly. Would have been way huger. People would have been talking about it forever. Would have been talking about it forever. They need to do it weekly. They got to do it weekly.
Hey, I appreciate that you love that I hate it.
Yeah,
It's not something that I like.
We are not an echo chamber here. We are not an echo. I mean, listen, if you go to Dermy's channel, if you decide to check it out, there's a little show we do called Ball Busters every Friday. This time last year, literally this time last year, I had come back from being sick, and we had been planning a debate concerning Full Metal Alchemist and Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. And you want to see two weebs yell at each other for an hour with a bunch of non-weebs refereeing. It was glorious. And Jeremy and I, while we both love Full Metal Alchemist, there's a certain thing we disagree on.
Ariel, that is blasphemy and libel or slander. One of the two, I will be suing you.
And so so what I'm saying is we don't agree on everything. We have a lot. We are very free thinking here. If you're familiar with all, we are a part of what is known as the fellowship on this quarter of the internet. We love individual thought. We love individual thinking. We do not want to have smoke blown up our ass. We want to be tested. We want to be argued with. And as long as it's done civilly, we're open to any sort of debate. We love a good discussion. So, as I said,
although I do get uncivil a lot, but that's because I'm me.
Shut up! You're fucking retarded. That's why. Anyway, all right. So
we're not PC either.
No, we are not. Although we do play by the rules, so our channels don't get demonetized and closed down, depending on the stream. Ballbusters, there's no rules on Ballbusters. Anyway, all right. So let's get to the final segment here. We've been promising this to you guys for a couple of months. We forgot last month because we forgot. We have no excuse. We simply forgot. But originally, the very first time I started this whole stream, I started this whole thing where I gave you my starter list. Jeremy wasn't here yet, and you guys have been asking us to do another one of those, so we're going to. I might repeat a couple of my originals from that one because, frankly, it's already 2 years ago. But now there's no limit. I kept mine to around 4 or 5. I didn't go as diverse as last time. But Jeremy, are you ready to give your starter anime?
Sort
of,
for the most part. I have a list, but
Mhm.
how I usually the problem when I try to give people an anime, it gets very particular to what I think somebody's gonna like. So
Mhm.
and I broke it down easily into starting categories, goofy or serious.
Okay. See, I do something similar for me. I did break it down by genre because I can't just say, watch this, it's your thing. And also, at the time, I have certain qualifications. Like, I don't think something should be overly complicated for somebody just
Mhm.
getting in and not too large either. Like, I cap it, I would say I would cap it at like 25 episodes. I wouldn't send somebody down a 50 plus episode or something like, even though it is legitimate, I wouldn't send somebody into Inuyasha as a starter anime because it's
I wouldn't.
7 seasons.
I started debating would I send somebody down Dragon Ball right off the bat. I was like, maybe not, because I want to break people out of that.
Mhm. That
Yep.
concept.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So well, I'll start to just to get us going here. Uh, I think one of the best starter anime, especially if you're into fantasy, is the Record of Lotus War OAV. 12 episodes, simple story, fantastic old school animation, great character work based off original D&D type adventures that they made. Record of Lotus War, it hits all the marks. You have your hero, you have your nemesis, you have rivalries, you have monsters, magic. It's got everything you need in 12 simple episodes. That does break from kind of the original lore they based on, but it works all on its own and it's just glorious fun and memorable characters and memorable moments. And I've used it as inspiration for stuff in the past for writing because it's just such good stuff. So I would always say Record of Lotus War because Parn, D-Lit, Ashram, so many good characters. And even though sometimes the animation gets a little cheap, they don't give you full combat. They do rely on stills sometimes, but it's just so much good character work. It's a lot of fun. So I always recommend Record of Lotus War. First OAV, 12 episodes. Subbed, I would go dubbed. I'm sorry, subbed. The dub is atrocious. This is 90s dub. So it's atrocious. You want to watch Record of Lotus OAV, you watch it subtitled because the 90s is just god awful dubbing back then. All right, so that's my first one. Jeremy, what do you got?
My first one, because again, I break it up kind of more serious to goofy. For a serious one, Death Parade. 12 episodes. It gets a little bit more esoteric, and it's not a confirmed sequel to Death Note, but it's
Oh,
something in the
okay,
Death Note
okay,
universe itself.
okay,
It
okay.
it the reason why I like it is it's not super heavy on a bunch of stuff, but it's a little bit more serious. It deals with like ideas of death, the afterlife, and what goes on there.
Hmm.
And it has some goofier parts to it. It has some a little bit of fun, like some anime tropes here or there, but for the most part, it is a more serious anime. Very, very calm, kind of cool and relaxed kind of anime that doesn't get too deep into like fights and stuff.
Hmm. Okay. My next one is to go back to Ariel's question from earlier. It's a very simple thing. I would say Robotech season one, the Macross saga, because that's literally one of the things that got me into anime as a kid. They made it so that a kid could understand it. A kid could get their head around giant aliens fighting dudes and fighter jets to transform into giant robots. It's so easy. It's got romance you can get your head around if you're a young person. It's got action that isn't too gory. It's got violence, but it's not ultra violence. And it's just a glorious story of humanity uniting and doing its best against things that are beyond its comprehension at the time. And it's right there. And to answer Ariel's earlier question, what's the difference between a Gundam and Macross? They came out about at the same time. Gundam's only a few years before Macross came out, and Macross is the original thing, which Robotech was used to build on. And there's a whole thing about that we could talk about another time. But the difference is essentially just two different types of robots, and the source of what makes robo technology work is different than what makes Gundam technology work. It's just a difference of how
And
it
I'm
works.
willing to bet they have different like metals as well, because in reality, a
Yeah.
Gundam isn't just like Unicorn, for example, is made out of 100% Psycho Frame, but most Gundams and Universal Century, for example, are made out of Gundanium.
Gundanium. Yeah, Gundanium. Now in Macross, it's just probably alloys of steel and other shit like that. It's
Mhm.
what thing about that is it's even though there is one similarity when it comes to robotechnology and use of there's a connection of mind. You have to think your way through it. You can't just make it happen and flip switches. Thinking caps, the helmets they use, requires you to think your way through the metamorphosis, the transformation in different various things. And without protoculture, none of it works. The essence of robotechnology, protoculture. So that's there are slight differences, but there are not differences. It all depends on how the technology works. That's basically, and then designs. I mean, Robotech, Valkyries, they have their own unique design. The Zentradi mechs, the Invid mechs, they have their own unique designs, just like Gundams have their own unique designs and stuff like, and Xeon Zaku's and shit like that. So I hope that answers your question, Ariel. So I would say another good starter is Robotech, because if it could turn me as a 6-year-old, a 5-year-old, 6-year-old into an anime nut, I think it's a good starter anime. I think it works. All right, Jeremy, what's the next one for you?
My next one, I'm gonna keep it down the serious route.
Okay.
91 Days.
I don't know that one.
It's a 12-episode short, sweet little series that is again serious. It takes place somewhere in America. They don't really say where, but during Prohibition. And it's all about a guy who left and has come back to take revenge on the mob. So
Okay.
he works his way into the mafia. He gets all close. And the interesting part about it is the main character is actually kind of a jackass. And you fall in love with the mafia family. You fall in love with members of the mob.
Okay.
And you're watching as the main character kills the guys you love. And it does have a really good ending that makes you think what happened. It's an open-ended ending that who knows what could have gone down. And it's one of those things, like, if I'm taking it down the serious route, I could say Breaking Bad-ish kind of anime. And it's not very esoteric and deals with spiritualism, no, but the ending is open enough that one of two things could have happened, and you just don't know.
See, I don't like open-ended stuff too often. It has to be really well done for me to like it, and I like nice conclusions to things.
Because I want to talk about it on Anime Odyssey. I'm not going to tell you what the ending is.
Okay.
But it is one of those endings where you're like, wonder what did happen. But you're fine not knowing. You could think one of two things happened.
Okay.
Because it's a decision kind of thing.
Okay, let's see. My next one is another OAV, Iria Zerum the animation. It's a wonderful science fiction thing where you basically Iria is an apprentice bounty hunter who has her older brother, I think it's an adopted brother actually, who they eventually stumble upon this creature known as Zerum, who is this infamous thing that always seems to be immortal, and it's just how Iria loses her brother in the fight, and Zerum continues to terrorize not only her but the area of the planet, this area they live in, and it's a great character study of what do you do when you're fighting a horrible beast. How do you deal with loss and family that isn't quite family. It's one of those early shows where family isn't necessarily blood. And you find the connections and you work hard. And also the fact that I love it that training matters. It's one of those shows where you train to be the best you are. You train to fight. You earn what you get. You're not just handed everything. And it's one of those early instances where you could have a female protagonist in anime that isn't a complete ugly whammons. I mean, Iria is competent, skilled, intelligent, and not a bitch. And she's fun. And Zerum is one of the most ghastly creatures you will ever come across. He was the inspiration for for a type of villain. Well, he was the villain, and now he's going to be the inspiration for a villain in some of the works I'm doing. So I recommend Iria Zerum the Animations. It's basically an OAV miniseries, about 3 episodes, I believe. From where I have it over there. It's maybe one day we'll watch it, but it's high quality. You used to see it all the time on Sci-Fi Channel back in the day when they used to show anime. So I remember Iria Zerum the Animation. It's really easy to get into, one and done, and just so enjoyable. And high quality animation. We're talking OAV animation, always really good. So I recommend. That's my next recommendation. You got another one, Jeremy?
Yes, I do. I'd actually probably throw. I'm gonna start getting into a little bit more goofier stuff. I know you haven't watched it yet. You're refusing to watch it. Delicious in Dungeon. Again, I'm trying to break people out of like anime tropes and stuff, but Delicious in Dungeon. If you want like something just it has its tropes in there, but it's not what people stereotypically think of anime, like big boobs. They're just it's yelling and craziness, and it's crazy, but it's fun. It's enjoyable. It's goofy. It's lighthearted. There's some serious moments here and there. It does great world building, and it starts breaking people out of ideas of the stereotypes of anime.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. You're still gonna have to work really hard to make me watch it. He's gonna have to trick me into it, folks. He's gonna have to trick me into it. He's gonna try. He's not gonna stop trying. He'll keep trying. Let's see. I mean, I've got a couple other ones in my head, so I'm worried that one of my ones isn't really starter, but I really love it because it's a serious anime, and it's 24 episodes, and it's drama / romance. I'm gonna say it anyway because I think if you watch it, it shows you, like Dermy said, it's not all boobs and crazy and shit. It does deal with actual psychological manners or with your own personal issues if you're trying to figure out who you are. What it is, Golden Time. Golden Time.
Watch that one.
It's basically this guy gets in an accident and he gets amnesia and he doesn't remember anything except from when he wakes up, but he knows he wants to, he has feelings of stuff, and he decides to, he just graduated high school, so he goes off to college in Tokyo where he runs into this outlandishly brash girl who basically arrives on the first day of classes with this dude he had been befriending, and she hits him with a bouquet of flowers and says, how could you leave me? We're supposed to be together. And it's a love story, and it's discovering who you are. And the whole time, this kid, our hero, I don't remember his name anymore, sorry, he's haunted by the spirit of his old memories, who is basically still alive within him but can't break through. And it's him coming to terms with who he is and what he is, and falling in love and falling out of love, or remembering who your first love was. It's a lovely story, and I highly recommend it. It's because, as Dermy said, it's something that isn't all jiggling. I mean, the animation is beautiful, and the women in it are beautiful, but it's not all jiggle physics. It's not all high action octane. It's just the story of these people getting to know each other, making friends. It's not quite slice of life, but it's close to it because there is an overarching story of what they're doing. So it's really it's down to earth, and it's got characters that you get attached and you're rooting for these people. So I recommend Golden Time, about 24 episodes, very enjoyable. I've seen it, I think, all the way through 3 times now since I first found it a few years ago. So I recommend Golden Time if you want something serious drama with realistic romance. Realistic romance.
I got about maybe 3 or 4 more on my list.
Okay. I got one or two. I got one or two. So
okay, the next one. Fuck it.
Smiling.
I'm gonna go with some jiggle.
I'm
gonna go with some classic anime tropes. Kenichi the Mightiest Warrior, or Mightiest Disciple. I mean, fun, goofy, character builds up all the time, and there's jiggle physics. Come on, it's a fun thing. It might be 50 episodes, but you'll have fun watching it.
Something can be light and be that long and still, I think, be starter, as long as it doesn't make you work too hard. It's not like asking you to sit down and watch all 64 episodes of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood and get it.
Yeah, and I don't know if they ever did finish Kenichi, and I'm
see, that's one of the things I kind of go to. Something has to be done if I'm recommending it as a starter.
It's a fun anime. That's why I'm suggesting it. And it does piss me off it never got finished because they left it open for more to come in and all that. And it's like, I want more because it's such a fun, fun anime. Just sit down, watch people do martial arts and jiggle physics.
See, there's nothing wrong with that. All right. I got another one. This one is 50 episodes, and I think it's going to please Dermy. Mobile Suit Gundam Wing. To me, it's the perfect. It was my introduction into Gundam. It hasn't aged well when compared to other Gundams, But if you're first getting into Gundam, it's a great experience. And it's got great Gundams in it. It's got a great story, well-developed characters, even though sometimes you do want to punch Relina in the face for being an idiot. But I
I just
recommend.
want to destroy the pacifists at all costs.
Well, that's Relina. Relina, she's a pacifist, and
Yeah.
listen, it's a great ride. It has all the classic Gundam tropes in it, but done in a way that is easy to access because you're new to it. Because, like I said, that was the first Gundam I experienced. So I recommend. I would happily say Mobile Suit Gundam Wing, and then watch the movie, the conclusion movie, Endless Waltz, which kind of breaks some of the lore from the movie because they changed some of the Gundams. I mean, Wing Zero is not Wing Zero from the show in Endless Waltz.
He gets wings.
It's wings and doesn't transform anymore. But the wings are for re-entry now. That's why they have the wings. Listen, Wing Zero is still listen. Endless Waltz Wing Zero is fucking badass to look at. It's a beautiful design.
I have it somewhere around here. Yeah, I have it down there. I need to fix it. But I do have because I like the wings. I like wings.
Wing Zero. I honestly, I liked the redesigns of the major Gundams in Endless Waltz. I really like I loved Heavy Arms redesign in Endless Waltz, and of course, Death Sides redesign is just Death Sides is beautiful. I love Death Sides. Death Side Hell. Let me phrase that. Death Side Hell is beautiful.
I have a Death Sight behind me as well.
Yeah. He's not cheating, Steve. This is a planned thing every month.
This is once a month we do this, Steve. I love you. I know. I haven't been on pregame for a while.
It's not cheating.
I've been busy. But
planned month in advance, every month. It's every month.
That's right, Steve.
Yeah. So I recommend Gundam Wing. It's a great entry into Gundam, and it's fun. It hasn't aged well if you watch other Gundams, but it's still good. It's still good. All right, Jeremy, what's your next one?
The next one I'm gonna suggest mech wise, Outnoa Zero. Outnoa Zero season 1's really good. Season 2's not as good, but it is still like a good introduction to kind of mechs and stuff. It does have a little bit of a supernatural element, but they do explain it well, being like Mars abilities and stuff like that. And they show like what would happen if we had mechs, but we had mechs essentially here on Earth based on what we could actually do. So they're not supernatural abilities, but then we're battling people that do have supernatural forces, and there's a hierarchy and things, and it is a really cool kind of thing. Season 2 is not as good. Some things come out of nowhere and they do some things that I'm like, but it's still a fun. It's a good one, and deals with more military combat and how that would probably go down, and a lot more technical and tactical things.
It's fair. It's fair. Let me see. I think I do have one more. I have one that I don't want to say because I'm going to sound really gay if I say it. I don't know if I want to say it.
Say it.
Oh, fuck it. If you want to get into it and start your love affair with it as a whole thing, original Sailor Moon.
That's a good one.
Be an old school Moonie. I'm an old school Moonie. Watching the original stuff, you can't cut out some of the filler and stick to the main storyline, especially in the original first season, because the following seasons, there's no filler. It's mostly the main storyline. But original thing to understand why the magical girl genre was such success, that you can do it with great storytelling, great character work, and it gets everything. You have the action is usually pretty stilted early on until the scouts or the soldiers, so I'll use the truth, the soldiers get stronger and have more powers, and they start actually animating some of the fights instead of just having them do attacks. But it gets better and better, and there's a lot of good stories in there. And so I will always recommend original Sailor Moon, because and then if you liked it, then watch Sailor Moon Crystal, which is the more accurate adaptation of the manga, which will finally get its finale very soon. The adaptation of Sailor Stars will be coming out very soon. I thought it was already out, but apparently it isn't. It's just going to be released very soon on Netflix. So I recommend. I would always say that because good storytelling, good characters. It tops just about everything. I mean, if you are not rooting for Usagi and Mamoru in Sailor Moon R, you're a heartless monster. You are a heartless monster, and I can't help you at all. if you're not rooting for them when they're going through their toughest time during 7-Win-R. You're not. You're a monster. I'll call you that. All right, you got one more, Dermy?
Yeah, and it wouldn't be me if I didn't suggest some misery porn. You went down the magical girl route.
And you're going the ultimate hardcore, aren't you? I think I know what you're going to say.
Madoka Magica.
Oh, no. I thought you were going to say something else. Oh, God. Madoka Magica. I know of it. It's a... that's some sick
Hey,
shit.
it's magical girl. It's gonna...
But
Listen,
it's sick
watch
shit.
Watch Sailor Moon. And then watch Madoka Magica. You will be broken from anime tropes for a long time. You will be hating life, and here's prime misery porn.
Hey.
My God, it's even a little bit much for me at sometimes.
Hold on. All right, hang on. I got to answer this from Ariel from Sailor Moon. Listen. Makoto, she got boobs to spare. Okay, Sailor Jupiter has boobs to spare. When Chibi Moon gets transformed to Dark Lady, her adult form, she's got boobs to spare. Uranus and Neptune, they've got boobs to spare. Pluto has boobs to spare. There's plenty of boobs in Sailor Moon. They got the boobs. It's there. All right, so Madoka Magic. Okay, I think that's a good list for people who want to dabble. It's a wide range of stuff, and it's a lot of old. What we list there's a lot of old school stuff from the 90s, stuff from the 80s,
Few things from
late
like
90s,
2000s,
late 90s, early 2000s. I mean, it's a good mix because there's always something new that could be good for starter as well. It doesn't have to be old school to be good for starter. I mean, Jeremy listed Delicious Dungeon. That's just this year. That's brand new.
Yep. Brand spanking new, and it's perfect for
Yeah.
newbies. There's a lot of people that aren't big into anime. They're watching that and like,
Yeah.
this is actually fun.
I mean, some people would say that Frieren is good starter. I don't consider Frieren good starter anime because you're going to think that that's how anime should be, and that's a very unique anime, and I still say it's a little overrated. It's good, but it's not on the pedestal people want to put it on.
And the reason,
go ahead. I was going to yell at Ariel. Go ahead.
Black Bible, God no. The reason why I chose Madoka Magica was, again, like a lot of what my list is breaking you out of what you believe anime is. Because there's a lot of tropes out there that they're like, oh, you just watch it for this, oh, girls, boobs, jiggle physics, gay. Madoka Magica is the prime misery porn that you watch something like Sailor Moon, and then you go to Madoka Magica, you're like, oh, look, it's magical girls. Holy shit, there's death and destruction everywhere.
I mean, listen, at the end of the original arc of Sailor Moon, all the girls die. Everybody dies, and it's only through the wish of the Imperium Silver Crystal that they're all resurrected.
Nobody
so
really... That's still nothing compared to Madoka.
I know. Anyway, all right. That brings us to the end of the show. With only two of us, we can only do so much. Mm-hmm. So, are you ready for your 3 paths for next month, Dermy?
I will take my 3 paths.
Okay, path number 1. Comedy. 12 episodes, 1 season. Very light. Has a purpose, but maybe considered slice of life. Little fantasy elements to it. Okay? A lot of
Delicious
fun.
in Dungeon.
No, it's not Delicious in Dungeon.
God damn it. I tried.
I won't tell you what it is until you actually choose one. So because I reuse these from time to time. Okay. So number 2. Supernatural. Balls to the wall, insane. 2 seasons, but this will be season 1, 12 episodes. Hilariously funny, but also hilariously dark at times. So you got that one.
I think I see the one that you want me to pick.
And then number 3, season 1 of soon to be 3 seasons. Very dark fantasy isekai with a very heavy helping of well done misery porn.
So you have 2 very dark things there.
Not very dark. The middle one has some dark stuff in it, but it's hilariously dark. It's tinged with great comedy and good character work. So.
You see, you mentioned misery porn.
I know.
Part of me really wants to pick the comedy, even though I don't want to watch a comedy. I don't want anything to do with that, but just to subvert your expectations. But God damn it, I want misery porn.
You're gonna do it?
I'm going misery porn.
ReZero Season 1.
Ooh, I've only seen parts of ReZero.
Oh, you need to watch. Okay, you want to try and get the director's cut. It's longer episodes like what you have into this one. ReZero, because ReZero Season 3 is coming out in the fall. ReZero is glorious. It is misery porn done where I can find it palatable.
Ooh, this is the thing with the best girls.
Rem is love. Rem is life. Rem is love.
I
Rem
know
is
the
life.
misery porn in this.
It's glorious. This show is glorious. It fucks with your head. Subaru, he suffers. He's going to suffer so much, you're going to love it. He suffers so much. But he grows from it. He actually grows from it.
I'm trying to figure out which one I need to watch. 13 episodes or
13
25?
episodes, director's cut.
13. Okay.
If I believe that, yeah, it should be director's cut. That's the original one I watched. I don't know if it's been dubbed, so you might have to watch it subbed. I watched the original director's cut like 4 years ago when it was right before
It is
season
dubbed.
2. Okay, all right, good. So you want to try and find the director's cut. They should be like hour-long episodes. So that's how you'll know. Okay, yeah, all right, yeah. So director's cut, yeah. So that's the good one. So I think you're gonna love this. I think you're gonna love this. This is right down your alley. It's isekai, but it's got such a unique story and such a unique world built around it, and the characters are outstanding. And just because this is season 1, it's like the tip of the iceberg with the character work you can get on all these characters. It's just so good. And season 2 is broken into 2 parts, and season 3 starts next in the fall. I'm so excited. I can't wait. This is one of my favorites right now. And it's got, and I said, it's got misery porn. It's got everything I think you like in it. And it's got a best girl. Rem is love. Rem is life. And your heart's going to be broken at the end of the season. It's going to break your heart. I'm glad you chose
Is it going to break my heart or is it going to give me a heart on?
No, it's going to break your heart.
No.
You're like, no.
But no one, you know me.
I know.
I'm a sick, twisted bastard.
There's a speech in the final episodes that Rem gives to Subaru.
Listen, if it wasn't for
it's so beautiful. It's a beautiful
if it wasn't
speech.
if it wasn't for the simple fact that season 2 and 3 of Tokyo Ghoul are so fucked up, I would have thrown that shit on here.
Ariel, I have seen the new DuckTales. I stopped watching it right before it crashed and burned.
DuckTales.
It was great up until a point, and then it went woke. Like, screw this, I'm done. So I liked it up to a point. I was enjoying it, and then I stopped right before it ended. So I have seen it. So you can't make me watch something I've already seen. Anyway, all right. So next month on let me give the exact date. I believe it's August 29th. We will be back for another anime Odyssey, watching ReZero starting. I forget if it has a subtitle. This ReZero season 1. Director's cut. If you're gonna watch,
it is starting a life in a
new world,
in another world.
Yeah. So ReZero season 1, starting life in another world. Director's cut. If you're gonna watch it along with us, so check it out. We'll be here. We will let you know if Legal Mindset will be able to make it with us this time around. If not, we will let you know who our guests will be otherwise. Until then, guys, we thank each and every one of you for being here. We hope you had a good time watching live or on the replay, because we know it was a busy Thursday night, a lot of stuff going on. So if you're catching up with us later,
my night's still not even done.
Oh, I'm done. I got one thing to do for tomorrow. I have to finish it, and then I will have content for tomorrow. If you've been keeping track with what I'm doing, the visual cues are everywhere for what I will be doing for tomorrow. So keep an eye out for it. If you haven't watched it, go check out my Deadpool review. It's only 9 minutes. I don't spoil anything. Hope you guys had a good time. So thank you one and all for being here. We will catch you guys next time. Until then, take it easy. Have a good night or day wherever you may be.